Welcome to Lessons from Life, the podcast that gleans profound life lessons from everyday life stories.
Hosted by Dustin, Fenton, and Brandon Hill.
Hello, Lessons from Life friends. This is Brandon. Today I'm here on my own. Dustin is out this week. As you may remember, I grew up in South Africa as a kid, and the house that we lived in had a huge yard with a whole bunch of fruit trees. We had a lemon tree, a pear tree, several apricot and plum trees, a fig tree, 2 pomegranate trees, some apple trees, and a loquat tree, which is a fruit indigenous to South Africa, as well as a Concord grapevine. So I grew up around a lot of fruit trees. I thought that I would share with you 3 stories that I recorded earlier in my life about rotten fruit. When I was a kid, we lived in Africa, and my mother used to buy bananas on the stalk. Massive, huge stalks of bananas, probably 100 to 150 bananas on it, or at least it felt that way when I was a kid. And we used to hang it in the dark in our garage, and it was my job to go pick bananas every once in a while to bring into the house. Well, when we got near the end of the bananas, they often were quite brown, and that became the time to create banana bread. And I'll tell you, it was my job to peel those rotten bananas, and it was just disgusting. I was like, ugh, I do not want to do this. It made me gag. And I still have trouble eating bananas to this day because I think of those rotten ones. But you want to know what is really funny? I love banana bread. I did back then, and I still do. And the funny thing about banana bread is that it's best when made with those rotten, smushy bananas, which I don't like to eat in that form. The lessons from this are that we can find good in a lot of things. And even if something looks used and bad, it potentially has the ability to make something really amazing and good if we're willing to give it a chance and transform it. When I was younger, it was my job to mow the grass, and we just had a push mower. It wasn't even self-powered, so it was quite a bit of work to mow the grass. We had kukui grass, which is a really thick kind of grass, and it was really quite the chore to push it. Well, one day my mom told me to mow the yard, and I realized that our 3 apricot trees had dropped apricot fruit all over the ground. And I knew that I probably should have picked it up first and then mowed the grass, but it was all really gross and rotten, and I just thought, well, maybe I can just mow it all up and it will work. Well, what ended up happening was it turned into one big giant mess of smashed up rotten fruit all over the grass, and I ended up slipping and falling into it, which was disgusting. And it didn't really cut the grass really well. About a day later, it had all dried and was like this massive rotten fruit roll-up. And there were bees and bugs all over it, and I had to go up and clean it up then. And the sad thing is that when I was cleaning that all up, it ripped out all the grass, which ended up killing a lot of the grass, and never really did recover while I was there growing up. So I'm not sure what the lessons from this are, but probably lesson 1 is do the job properly the first time and it will be easier, and don't try and take shortcuts because they'll create more work for you. I have shared before that I grew up in South Africa, and they have amazing avocados there, but the whole time I was growing up, I did not want to eat avocados. I just thought they looked disgusting. I didn't think they had that great of a flavor, and I would never eat them. About 15 years later, I ended up moving to California, where everybody was eating avocados all the time, and particularly guacamole, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to try that. Well, I went to an event once, and they had some guacamole laid out, and I thought, oh, there's nobody here. I'll sneak a little bit of that guacamole. If I don't like it, I'll just spit it out, and no one will know any better. Well, I put some guacamole on a tortilla chip and ate it, and I was like, oh, this stuff is amazing. I can't believe I have been avoiding avocados and guacamole to this point. And so I just kept eating it. Well, about 5 minutes later, someone else came in, took a bite of the guacamole and went, oh, this is disgusting. And they looked at the expiration date on the container and it had been expired for a week. The funny thing is, I thought it still tasted good, but everyone else thought it was bad. And so I thought, if I like this guacamole while it is bad, I probably like it even more when it is good. and I started eating guacamole and loved it. And I'll share at this point in my life, I'm probably eating an avocado every day or at least every second day, and I really love them. The lessons I've learned from this are that it's good to keep trying things as you get older. Things you've not liked before, maybe you will decide that you will like them. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed my stories about rotten fruit. I think I'm going to go make myself a smoothie. See you next week. The 3 short stories that you've just heard were recorded over several different time frames. But now that we are in the middle of dealing with this coronavirus pandemic, I think there are some additional lessons that I am reminded of. From the banana bread story, making the best of a bad situation, what are the things that we're learning as we go through this together? New ways of doing things, people we didn't know who cared about us are coming out of the woodwork. Maybe we're doing that for other people. So what are we doing in this bad situation that later we will look on as good? Maybe we're trying new things, new ways of engaging our family, playing board games, watching less TV, learning how to spend time closer together. These are all lessons that might be very helpful for us even in the midst of our bad situation. So please pray with me for our world and our country and take care of your neighbors. Thanks for listening to Lessons from Life. We hope that you have learned a lesson today that will help you to be more fulfilled in life's journey. If you were inspired by today's episode, please subscribe and review. You can find Lessons from Life at lessonsfromlifeforyou.com. That is with the number 4 and the letter U. You can also find links to all of our social media on our website. We would love to hear the valuable lessons that you have learned from your life experiences. And if anyone from the Haas Avocado Board is still listening and wants me to be a spokesperson for you, just let me know.